はいません。
I have the entire soundtrack on my phone now. Also, that song is much longer than I thought it was.
Yep, it's real long. It is real long.
There's an entire saxophone bit that is not in the opening.
Yep.
Which is cool. I like it. It's just like, it is much longer than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. I'm debating what to put as my number 5.
Put that one show as number 5.
That's what I was thinking, but then there was like this other show that could also be the number 5.
You're number 5.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to take it as a compliment. Welcome to the Baker Street Podcast. My name is Watson.
I'm Leo.
And today we are not joined by a guest, unfortunately, but that's just how it goes. But,
wait, I was promised a guest.
I know. I put it on the schedule, but then I got lazy, and it didn't happen. So, we're just by ourselves today. We're going to talk about the last season that just passed of anime. And it was a thing that happened.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe that. It was indeed a thing that happened.
Today we're going to talk about like our top 5s because we are guestless. So
something like that.
That was difficult for me because I barely watched 5 shows.
I watched more than 5 shows, but the question is, did I finish 5 shows?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is no. I did not finish 5 shows from last season.
It was that kind of season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about last season because I wouldn't say any of them were like or at least I wouldn't say any of them were garbage. But I mean, we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we starting today? Starting in the middle? We're both going to start with number 3s?
That'd be weird. Let's just start with number 5.
I mean, if you say so.
Yeah, I do. Go ahead. What's your 5?
So my number 5 is, where was it out on my list? Okay, so my number 5 was Phantasy Star Online, or Phantasy Star Online 2, the animation.
Okay.
That was my number 5.
Now, this is not a sequel of any kind. It's the game that's the sequel, right?
Yeah, it's the game that's the sequel. It's a standalone show with an air quote completely original story that takes place on Earth in the near future. Phantasy Star Online 2, or PSO2, as all those kids call it, is a MMO that I think is only available in Japan. Unless you get into
wasn't that the Dreamcast MMO?
It might have been. I don't remember. I think Phantasy Star Online was the Dreamcast MMO, but it's not anymore because obviously the Dreamcast is no longer a thing. Well, I mean, it's a thing, but it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. With that, it's actually a really popular MMO. A lot of people really enjoy that around the world, even though I think the only servers are in Japan. So, I mean, there are people that play it, but only really in Japan. But, I mean, the show follows our main guy. I mean, it's a sci-fi anime. I mean, the reason why, because I originally started watching this and it was really good, and I knew they were going to do something with it from just like the opening trailer, but it just took them so long to get to where their payoff was going to be, and it just felt like it dragged. Like the pacing itself didn't drag, like the episodes didn't feel long or anything. It's just like the actual story took forever to get where it was going. Because I'm sure you're never going to watch this show, and just spoilers for anyone who who was planning on watching the show. But we have our main guy, and he becomes magically the vice president of his like school's student council because the previous vice president, I want to say, either just quit or something. I don't remember.
Does he magically get giant boobs and is suddenly into BDSM?
No, okay. Unfortunately, no, he doesn't.
Sad.
But his basically entire role as vice president of the entire school student council is to play PSO2 and write a report every week to explain why it's a good game and the school board should keep allowing kids to play it. And that's basically the first half of the show. And by half of the show, I mean more than half of the show, because the show just drags forever with plot. Eventually we find out he's
a silly way to start a show about a video game.
Yeah, and it's one of those shows too, kind of that like some of the other like game because it ends up going into video game's actually real and it's another dimension thing, which it takes forever to get to, and you're the chosen one kind of thing. And I kid you not, he legitimately is the chosen one. And it just drags forever to get to the point where there's actual importance, and it's more of like a school life show than anything else. And it falls into those tropes again of like explaining things, like people assuming that no one knows what an MMO is, so it explains what swapping is, like attack swapping, or what all the silly nonsense like MMO terms are. And it's just one of those things of just like a lot of people probably know this, so I mean it was good. It's just, and the animation was cool and the music was nice. I liked all the characters. My only real gripe with it, honestly, is that it just took so long to get there.
I'm going to be real with you.
Yeah.
I don't know what swapping means. So there's a reason why that's okay.
Yeah, and and I understand that there's people that do play MMOs and they're going to know what they're talking about. And then there's other people like you and just other people that don't play that. Swapping usually refers to it's different depending on the game, because obviously there's some MMOs that have like tank classes, and then you tank swap to change aggro basically, and that's kind of what they're talking about. I don't think swapping was one of the specific ones they mentioned, but things like that they talked about, and it's just one of those things of like they sit down, there's like, all right, we have classes and blah 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 and races, and it's just like there's just a lot of things they went over. That was just it was interesting, but I don't think it was It was more disappointing because I thought it was going to be a more action-y show than it was. And it ended up being very slice of lifey for a long time. So that is why it is number 5. Okay. I would recommend it, but I mean, it takes a long time to get to where it needs to be.
Okay. My number 5 is Ace of Diamonds second season. I had a hard time debating between this one and Dimension W, but Dimension W is kind of really weird, and I don't think I completely understand that show as a whole. And I haven't been watching the dub that's been going on Toonami. I just watched the sub as it was simulcast on Funimation's site. So the dub might be a little bit more easy to understand, but goodness... Dimension W is weird.
Was it?
Yeah.
I watched, I think, the first couple episodes, and then
very confusing.
Dropped it for other reasons.
Yeah, it really desperately wants to be sci-fi, and it is, but it's also a weird sci-fi that plays by its own unexplained rules, just because this is sci-fi and we don't have to explain it.
That's always
I feel like you have to explain some things with sci-fi. This is science part of science fiction.
You do.
This coming from the guy who actually likes Titan AE. Dimension W is weird.
We talking about the really old animated movie with the people in space and they find Planet Bob?
Yes, that movie.
That was a good movie.
I like that movie. They don't explain anything in that movie.
No, they don't. They really don't. They assume you understand, which honestly, the way that movie works, it kind of makes sense. Although it's also a movie for kids, so they're probably not going to explain things.
It is a Don Bluth movie. And
I was going to say, they're not going to explain things anyways. because it would be too much for people,
Yeah.
especially for the age group that movie is aimed at.
Yeah, no, Dimension W is okay, but it definitely requires multiple viewings to grasp its lofty trying to storytelling. But Ace of Diamond is a baseball show. I get that.
I love the baseball show though.
This show annoys me sometimes, like to the point where I go weeks between watching it and it becomes kind of a slog to catch back up.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that while you were when you were ending. I think you ended up about like 3 weeks behind at some point.
I did that in season 1 too, because there's just points where Sawamura is just not my guy.
Well, no, Sawamura is never your guy. That's why you always follow Miyuki. The story's about Miyuki, man. Miyuki is best boy.
No,
in that show.
Lies. Yep. Haruchi is best boy.
Oh, I know things about that man because I'm reading. Because officially at this point, that show is over. So manga? I mean, like, yeah. Well, the manga is over too. But the show is over unless they decide to do.
It didn't look like they want to go into a third season.
Because here's the thing about that show. That's actually where the manga ends, because there's 2 mangas for that show. Mm-hmm. There's Ace of Diamond, and then there's Ace of Diamond Act 2.
Yep.
It's where they ended the show is where Ace of Diamond ends. So I mean, if they want to continue, they'd pick it up as Ace of Diamond Act 2, or whatever they want to call it for the anime, because I think season 2 is Ace of Diamond Season 2. So I mean, they would probably end up calling it something else. But because spoilers, they end up going to nationals, and then that's where Ace of Diamond 2 starts. And being at nationals, which is funny, is not actually important. They play, I think, I don't know, I could go into that a little bit if you wanted, but that would be more spoiler for the manga.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, so I mean, because I'm actually current with that show, because I mean, I finished the show, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to figure out where this is at in the manga. And I realized, oh, this just picks up right where the new manga starts. So I just started reading from the beginning of that, and I think I'm on like chapter 86 or something like that right now. That came out the other day. So I mean, it goes places. People get much better, obviously, because I mean, they go to nationals, and I mean, you see kind of what nationals are all about. And you meet some new people that are going to be important, because obviously we're going to go back to nationals, which is going to be important. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think the manga is better paced than the show, though, to be honest with you.
That'd be hard for it not to be.
Yeah. The manga, it moves a little bit quicker, and you have less, how am I going to throw this pictures. So
yeah. But you know what? It's not, as much as I am annoyed by the show, it's not bad. And I wouldn't put it as my number 5 if I thought it was bad.
And here's the thing. I mean,
there's like 150 episodes of the thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to just go throw this out here right now. It's actually my number 4. So I mean, we don't really have to go forward and skip to me.
Cool.
So we can just kind of keep talking about it. But I mean, like, it is my number 4, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy this show. I mean, it's one of the reasons I started playing a baseball video game, which I never play baseball video games.
And they're boring.
I don't know. I've had a lot of fun with it, mainly because I named my guy Sawamura. Yeah. So, and he throws all the same pitches. Uh-huh. But I have to figure out what I'm going to make his 5th pitch be, because in the manga he doesn't have a 5th pitch yet. So I need to figure that out. But he, I mean, I really like that show. I really like the character development, and I might end up liking it more than I think I like the manga more than I like the show, just because it's less stally, I guess. Like, you don't have the problems of it just like sitting there like waiting until it's like, I'm going to throw this pitch now. I'm still waiting to throw this pitch. Like, it's a little bit quicker, obviously, because they don't have that many panels to make that build up. And I mean, the only things that I like the manga better for is like the emotion in the show is really good, where it's either Miyuki snickering at something stupid he's done, or like, I really enjoy every moment where Sawamura is trying to yell at Fuyuya, and Fuyuya's just like, who are you? And he's just spaced off because he doesn't give any cares in the world about him.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you go to decide which version you want to you want to go with. You got to decide which is less egregious to you.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll be honest, the manga's not really egregious at all. It's just like you miss out on some of those.
No,
like,
that's what I'm sorry. I meant like more like, do you want to hear the voices and see the action moving, and hear the music, or do you want to have a well-paced story?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, all that additional things that they had in the anime that obviously isn't there in the manga, like the faces are all still there, but I mean, like, the actual motion and the laughing and the music, like, it's all really good and it's really well made. It's just, the pacing's pretty bad. I wouldn't say it's like bad enough to say not go watch it.
I mean, look, it's a collaboration between Madhouse and Production IG.
Yeah, it's not going to be bad.
It's not going to be bad, but being a collaboration, it's also, they don't have their best people on this. This is both of their like story going on at the time.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable though, and I mean, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, it wouldn't be on the list at all if it wasn't good. So I mean, like, it's definitely, I would recommend, and I'd going to keep reading the manga. I hope they make a season 3. We'll see if that ends up happening, because you're right, the way they ended it makes it seem like they're not going to. But like I mentioned, I mean, that's legitimately where it ends for the manga, or it's the first part of the manga.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
I didn't know.
Well, that's what I mentioned a little bit ago. Because, like I said, it's 2 mangas. It's Ace of Diamond and Ace of Diamond Act 2. I think it's Act 2 is what it's called.
Right, yeah.
But that's where the first one ends. So, I mean, it's them winning, and it's like, hey, we're going to Nationals now. They did cut out a scene of them arriving at Nationals, and I think the actual end of the manga is Saramura walking up onto the mound on Nationals is where it ends. If I remember right, which they didn't have in the show, which is okay. If they decide to do a season 3, I mean, that's where they could start. Yeah. So, and that's basically where season 3 starts, or Act 2 starts anyways. You see the end, you see where he stands up and he's just like, all right, cool. Prepare for balls to go towards you. Like he always says, when he's about to start to pitch. And I think that's where the manga ends, if I remember right. And basically the manga picks up exactly where it ends in Act 2. So, I mean, if they decide to do another season, they can just start there. All right. But yeah, it's definitely really good. And I definitely enjoy it. Cool. So if you want to go with your number 4 now, because I already talked about my number 4.
Yep. My number 4 was Erased.
Okay.
Did you probably watched Erased, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Good. It's an interesting show, and I don't think it's as good as most people are saying, but I definitely also don't think it's as bad as most people are saying. The other half of the most people, maybe the vocal minority. It's just one of those shows that exists and is well made and has a good story with fantastic animation, with a few plot holes that make me scratch my head and say, why?
Mm-hmm.
So, for those of you who don't know, the very few of you that there are, Erased is about a guy who has this superpower to go back in time and fix things that happened around him to keep bad stuff from happening that he could prevent. And one day, it sends him back to elementary school because his mom got stabbed. So he had to go all the way back there to fix it, because that's where it started. What follows is kind of a love story, kind of, but also a thriller, like a crime drama. Not you expect it
from the tags here. It says mystery, psychological, supernatural thriller, as well as it says Sentai. But I mean, that's here or there. But yeah.
Well, I mean, there is a couple stills of a Sentai hero.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more of that in the manga, which I'm 100% sure the manga is better in this instance. But
from what I heard of one of my friends who was watching the show, and she's read the manga, the manga is a little bit darker, from what I understand.
And there is stuff they cut out that makes stuff make more sense. The direction for the anime, though, I feel like was very, very, very good. I liked the way that they were able to visually say that this is in the past, the way they visually put memories on the screen, the way they did all that kind of stuff. I thought it was good. There's just a few things in there that are really dumb. Like, there's a certain scene with the seatbelt that is really, 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 really stupid.
You've never had that problem, have you?
No, but he could have easily. I'm not going to spoil it. It was just really dumb. There was other ways. The way that they animated it, it didn't look like he would have been in that situation. That
I disagree, because I don't think you've ever been in that circumstance where things like that happen.
Well, no, I've never been in a car that's been going underwater.
No, I mean, that happens in regular car accidents, though, too, because I've had that exact experience before.
Well, yeah, but it's not that. It wasn't like, okay, the seatbelt wasn't animated like it was pulled all the way out and then it had the ratchet effect going back and
I mean, I guess, yeah, you don't see that, but
it looked like to me he could have just slipped out of it by not even unbuckling it.
I guess that's true, yeah. It didn't look like there's a whole lot of tension on there like it should have had, but I mean, yeah. It's definitely not an easy thing to get out of.
Well, that's the point, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But it looked, the way it was animated was not. But you know what? It's an enjoyable show. I liked it a lot. It was one of the shows I was watching week to week, like hours after. One of the ones I would constantly make sure I was watching the day of. And I'm just disappointed that Aniplex has the license for this one.
Yeah. That indeed it does.
It could have been better if they had given it a little bit more time, just a few more episodes, made it an odd 15 episode, maybe even gone up to 20. That could have made it a little bit better, done a little bit more, had a little bit more development with Irie. Made her more of a thing other than, I am here and I'm cute. Care for me. But mom character is best girl in the show.
Well, yeah.
And I'm done talking. So
okay. I will talk about it at a later point.
Okay.
So to continue though,
number 3.
My number 3 is going to be Prince of Strive Alternative by Madhouse.
Okay.
You seem really confused.
No, I mean, I guess that would be kind of your thing, but I mean, way too dating sim for me.
Which is why it was hilarious, because it definitely was not written of a show as a dating sim. They made a sports anime from a dating sim. Like this is it says it's a visual novel, but it's definitely, well, I mean, yeah, it is a visual novel.
See, the difference between a visual novel and a dating sim is one is a game and one is not a game.
I guess, yeah, because the visual novel, you just follow the story ultimately, until you get to the pre-described ending. This, I guess technically this is a visual novel then, because that's what it is telling me here. With that though, I mean, they made a show about a dating sim that had nothing to do with the dating sim, but all of the dating sim tropes were still there.
Yep.
Which made me enjoy it so much. Unfortunately, I didn't have. The reason I dropped most of my shows this season is because I didn't have time with changing of work schedule and other things. So unfortunately, a lot of shows got dropped because I just was so busy out with personal life nonsense. But I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was unusually funny for a sports anime, and that might come through with a lot of the dating sim tropes. and all the other jokes that come with the show, come with that genre of things that they didn't use. I think the show could have been a much better show if it actually focused on the dating sim nonsense instead of the sports.
But then we wouldn't get any of this silly parkour, not a sport thing.
Here's the thing, though. They show that, but they don't show any of the cool, like, I'm doing a flip over this half pipe thing that they put in the middle of my way. Like, they show a little bit of it, but I mean, like, they cut out so much of that it's just like, what is this show anymore?
Good.
Like,
so now I have zero reason to go back and keep watching that.
You really have no reason to go back and keep watching it unless it changes towards the end. Most of, like, they don't use a lot of that idea to, like,
this is one of the ones you actually didn't finish yet.
Yeah, it was one of the ones I didn't finish. I do really enjoy the show, though, just kind of based off of just where it was going. And I thought all the characters were mostly really interesting, except for, I'll be honest, me and Zach, who's been on the podcast multiple times with us, we kept making jokes every week about the fact that one guy is obsessed with calves, and he might have as well just been Go from swimming anime. Yeah. And I mean, the guy who was obsessed with calves was also basically just Haru, because all he cared about was running. And I just constantly made jokes every time we watched the show, which is, I think, why I enjoyed it so much, because I made fun of it most of the time, with just all the random nonsense of, oh my God, the one guy's looks like a lady kind of thing. And it's just more entertaining than anything else, because you could just
lady.
Mainly because you could just keep making jokes about it more than anything else. And like it was definitely an enjoyable show. It's definitely not anything I would recommend to anyone unless they were specifically looking for some sort of stupid sports anime. But there are much better sports anime in the world. So I mean, outside of that, I mean, the animation and coloring of the show itself are actually really good. But I mean, they didn't do any of the cool things like they didn't do like animate, like, put it this way, like in IQ, you see like the really cool like spikes and stuff. You don't see them run up and do like a really cool flip over like the obstacles and stuff. Like you don't see them spend their money where you would reasonably expect them to spend their money.
And this is Madhouse.
Yeah, it is Madhouse. But with that, I think, again, this comes down to, this wasn't, because they had a couple shows, I think, this season. I think this is one that was more or less, yeah, hey, this is a show that we're doing. It's good quality, but it's nothing that we normally do.
I mean, they just come off of One Punch Man, so...
Yeah, so I think I think what ended up happening is they knocked a little piece of One Punch Man money into a box, and they're like, oh, where'd this come from? Hey, who wants to make a show? And so they made a show.
No, they said it was the same budget. It's just that they spent way more time and effort on One Punch Man, because it deserves it. And the show does not, clearly.
Yeah. But I mean, it was definitely good, but I really wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It was definitely enjoyable to watch. But again, I think that comes back to, we just kept making jokes the entire time we watched it, and we weren't really watching the show. We were just more making jokes at each other.
Okay.
Which is what made it enjoyable more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's legitimately, we have main school of guys. We have the quiet, cute guy. We have the nerdy dude. We have the like, I've been here senior. We have the I look like a girl, and they make that joke a lot. And we have the other
the upperclassmen who quit.
We have the upperclassmen who quit, and then we also have our goofy guy, and then we have our girl who's obviously who you most likely play in the visual novel. With that,
quote unquote play.
Yeah, quote unquote play. She's obviously the person who you are in the visual novel. But I mean, there's a point where their club goes to like the opponent's like school to like do a training day, basically. And they're training with this other school. They have a tower just dedicated to their stride club, which is what this sport's called. And like they're just like club room, which is basically its own building, has a pool, a full-size Olympic pool, a basketball court, and an entire indoor like setup for this just sporting event. It's just like, how do you have so much money just for this one sport?
Visual novel logic.
Me and Zach kept just making jokes that he's like, they use that for all. I'm like, no, it is just for this one sport. Everyone has one of these.
Yep.
Just the football team has one. The basketball team, no, they all have one of these. They don't share. It's just like school makes so much money that they all have one. And it was really funny, and just based off the stupid jokes that we were making more than anything else. Otherwise, out of that, I mean, otherwise I probably wouldn't even mention it. But it's just, I think I had a good time watching the show.
Yeah.
From the jokes that we made, that it made it enjoyable to watch.
All right. Well, my number 3 was Snow White with the Red Hair, second season. Basically continuation off of the first season. There was no time in between, honestly. I think they just took a break so that they could recoup some money.
Well, I mean, it was Bones, wasn't it? They did another show. They were doing other shows last season, I think. Weren't they?
Was Concrete Revolutio last season? No.
Yeah.
That was no, it wasn't.
Oh, that was the season before. Yeah. They came out at the same time.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. Anyway, Snow White with the red hair is still cute, still adorable. I still love everyone, and it's great.
Yeah, I really need to go back and watch that show. No, Concrete Revolution was last season.
Was it?
I looked it up.
Because I know it's continuing this season.
Yeah, it was last season. They had that show. They also had Noragami last season.
Oh, you mean like fall?
Yeah, fall.
Okay, yeah. Cool, yeah. Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. They had Noragami and Concrete Revolution last season. Or in fall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've said everything I enjoy about Snow White previously, and this changes nothing about it. It is still great. And
I really needed...
Cute.
I watched, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of that show, which is why it's not on my list today. And I really need to go back and watch that, because I think the original, like when the original season came out, I think I enjoyed that show more than you did when that originally came out.
Yeah, you did.
And I just need to go back and finish it, because, like I said, I didn't have time to watch a whole lot of things, which made me really disappointed just with other things I was doing. And I need to go back and watch that show. And then there's a couple other ones I need to watch.
The thing is, the end of season 1 didn't feel like an end. It felt like a middle part.
Yeah, and it probably was.
It definitely is, because this is not anything more than the second half of that thing that was before. Because Prince Raj comes back from the first half and
and I saw that, and I saw. I think I've seen 2 episodes of it, because I know from what I remember watching, she went and hung out with him.
Yeah, for a good majority of that season.
Yeah. And we're in the middle. I think it was like the first time that they were hanging out or something like that was where I was at. So, yeah.
Yep. It's good. Go watch it. Go watch all of it. It's cute. I'll buy it when it comes out.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I will.
Wait. No, that's
Funimation.
Yeah, it's Funimation. You're good. I was thinking it was a different show that we were talking about before.
Yeah, no, that's Erased.
Yeah.
Not buying that. Which is sad, because I kind of want to. Anyway, your turn.
Oh, I don't remember how to pronounce the name of this show, and I don't remember its English name. Yeah, so my number 4 is my number 2 is going to be a tie.
Okay.
Between God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, or Konosuba is the short for it, or on Crunchyroll. And
I don't think I've heard of either of those.
Yeah, this is not a show you watched or probably knew about. And Erased are going to be tied for second.
Okay.
We already talked about Erased. My feelings on Erased is I loved the show. I'm in that other majority of the show is amazing and basically perfect. I enjoyed it a whole lot. I don't have any problems with it. I thought everything about it was good. I don't think I wouldn't change anything about that show at all. If you want to contest anything specifically, we can do that. But I don't really have a whole much.
I already brought up the seatbelt thing.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything to talk about that show other than it was really good and everyone should go watch it.
I was kind of disappointed with the reveal of the killer.
Oh, I figured out that.
Everyone knew. That's what was problem with it was.
You want to know something?
But then again, the show didn't want to be a mystery more than it wanted to be a crime thriller, so I guess it's fine.
I was going to say, you could have figured out who it was in the first episode. They show you who it is in the first episode.
No?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they do.
Because he's not even introduced in the first episode.
You want me to explain how they tell you?
Go.
If you watch the opening when he's running across the roof, if you see when the frame breaks, the glass filters, if you stop the frame, you can actually look through the reflection of the glass and see who shot the gun, and you can see that it's the teacher.
Okay.
It's in every opening.
Woo.
Yeah. So the other show, being God's Blessing on This World, is one of those shows of I died and now I'm getting transported to a mystical universe because I died too soon. But the reason you're not...
That's what it looks like.
The reason you're not going to watch this show is because it's a comedy trope show that makes all of the trope jokes. We have the ditzy, overpowered person. We have the lolly who uses magic once a day, and she can't use it more than once a day because she uses super powerful explosive magic and it makes her tired. And we also have the BDSM night lady who likes punishment. And then we have just our main protagonist dude who is upset that he's not a god in this new world, basically. And they
so like a bad version of ReZero.
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
And they just make jokes all the time. And it's something that's I find it to be hilarious because it's my kind of show. And I'll be honest, the jokes are all really good. The animation, from what I remember, from what it is like, it's good. It's nothing spectacular. There isn't anything like, oh my god, look at this. But it's definitely something that's funny and enjoyable. There's a point in the show where like this bad guy is coming basically, but they don't know when. And the magic girl just each day just wants to test her magic. So she like leaves with the main character like far away into the forest, and they keep blasting this castle with magic. And he carries her back every day because she's too tired to actually do anything after she uses her magic. And we find out when the air quote bad guy shows up, he's like, you guys keep blasting my castle with magic. Why won't you just come and fight me instead of just attacking me from far away? And it's just like, what? I thought we were told that this castle was abandoned. Why are you living there? And it's just like it has really funny, cute jokes. I mean, people aren't going to like this show if they don't like tropes or any of the stupid. Just like, hey, look,
tropes are fine. The problem with them is when they're not used properly with like some sort of nuance.
Yeah, there's no nuance in the show. It's all heavy-handed jokes. And yeah, I mean, if that's not your jam, you're probably not going to enjoy it. But it's definitely something that is real funny, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I need to finish it because it's another show I didn't finish. But I mean, it is only 10 episodes. It was a shorter show of last season.
Yep.
It was definitely really funny to watch. I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 was Haikyuu.
Oh yeah, that did end last season, didn't it?
Yep, Haikyuu's second season. I love Haikyuu, and I've talked about it before. So
I think we have like 3 different videos where we talk about Haikyuu.
Yep. Most of them are down because copyright, and I was bad. Anyway.
GG.
Yeah, Haikyuu's second season is real good. I love it. It's all the good things about the first season, but like, it's mostly just games.
Games. It's true.
Which is okay, but I mean, it doesn't have a lot of what made the first season really, really, really good. But it's still fantastic because I guess the entire first half of it is all practice.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of practice with other teams.
Mostly, and a couple games to get them into the tournament that is season 2.
Yeah. And then season 3 is going to be all games.
We're probably going to get season 3 not until winter again, which is sad.
That's fine.
Because where they're at right now, I think they've played 3 games. And we're also going to pull a Kuroko somewhere in there where we focus on another team for like 3 of those games. Actually, no, they played 4 games. We're going to play a Kuroko game thing where we focus on another team for like 3 games.
Look, Nekoma needs attention.
It's funny because it actually is Nekoma.
I mean, who else would it be?
It's a valid point. I mean, and like they do it in the way of like we have because where season 2 ends, the next game is the finals of that tournament where we face Shiri Torizawa.
Yep.
And then after that match, we obviously have to find out whether or not Nekoma's going to get into nationals or not, which is where it jumps to. So we're I think on game 2 or 3 with them to see whether or not they're going to be able to get in.
Cool. All right.
Spoilers.
I mean, come on.
Not really. I didn't say anything.
Sports anime.
I mean, yeah, for real, it is a sports anime. We know what's going to happen anyways because I mean we have to have the garbage battle at nationals. Obviously, it has to be an official match.
Yep.
I mean, it wouldn't be a sports anime if they didn't both.
Battle of the trash dump. All right, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is Digimon Tri Part 2, which is technically its own movie. It was much better than the first one. Things actually happened, and it was great, and it made me happy because of Digimon. Because Joe decided to not be an asshole and actually showed up, and it made me happy. And we had 2 new Digivolutions to Ultimate, or not Ultimate, to it might have been Ultimate. I think it was Ultimate. We got to see Rose Thing, and we got to see Giant Walrus Dude. Walrus Dude became a Viking, and Rose Lady turned into more of a Rose Lady. Actually, she turned into Ivy from Soul Calibur. That's what we were talking about when we were watching it.
Okay.
Other than lacking giant boobs, but she was basically Ivy from Soul Calibur with her Rose Whip. And it was a good time to be had by all because Digimon. And it's still amazing to watch. And I think the next part doesn't come out until like November or somewhere late in this year, if I remember right. It is real sad. But
I have zero attachment to Digimon.
I have lots of attachment to Digimon because Leomon's a thing.
That is true.
But no, that I always watched Digimon. I always thought it was cooler, mainly because obviously the more you Digivolve, the more guns you get on your body. Which is basically how that works.
It's super edgy and 90s.
And I don't know, I always enjoyed it and thought it was funny. Well, it was never funny, but it was definitely something enjoyable and that was relatable for me, at least. Remember watching it when I was little. I always enjoyed this show and Pokemon, but I think I do enjoy this show a little bit more just because the characters were at least there was multiple characters and they're all different. Unlike Ash, which is kind of a bland character, to be honest.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, basically. And in this show, I mean, there's more variety of people and there's people you can actually relate to. So, I mean, I felt more related to it. In saying that, all of Digimon is now on Netflix. I suggest you not go back and watch it because it is awful to watch again. So,
I mean, I wasn't going to because I didn't even watch it the first time. So.
Yeah, but it's definitely really good. They actually started getting to plot in movie 2, which is typically how that works with these 3-part movies. And I'm super excited to see the payoff and the finish because they threw something out there in the first movie, being that they showed the season 2 characters, but they're all laying on the ground, air quote, dead. And they haven't talked about that yet. And I'm super curious on what's going to happen with that. So I want to figure that out. And I need to know the end of the story and the fate of all the Digi-destined because things happened. And I need to know these things. But yeah, mainly nostalgia and love of Digimon. So number 1, woo.
Okay. My number 1 might just be one of the best anime of the decade. And that would be Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. And I know you haven't watched this, and you didn't try to watch it for some odd reason because, this is a Watson anime. They're going to the theater. No.
I watched the first episode, and I was just like,
all 40 minutes of it?
Yeah. I think.
I was so captivated by that first episode. It was wonderful.
Maybe I only watched the first half of the episode. I don't remember. But I was watching it. I would point out...
How many stories did you get told?
Huh?
How many stories were you told in the first episode? Because there's 2.
Then 1, because I think the only thing I ever saw was him about to leave for the theater. And that was just like, nope. There are other things to watch.
No, that's something you need to watch. It is very, 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 very good. You were about to say something, though, and I interrupted, so please continue.
Oh, I was gonna say there. I was like, there's other things to watch, like the porn anime
Oh,
that legitimately came out this season, where they were going to make a H game because that was a game. That was a show this season.
no, this is one of the best shows
I'm
of the
sure.
decade.
I mean, One Punch Man's in this decade, though, so I have to disagree.
I said one of. Goodness.
But Prison School's in this decade,
No.
so I have to disagree.
No.
No? Are you? I mean, are you sure?
Yes, I am 100% certain that Prison School is not a good show.
Oh no, I know some people that would disagree with you, like Eric.
I know there are people who, yeah, prison. He totally loves Prison School. No, this show, for those of you who don't know, because I haven't even said anything about what this show is and why it's good. It is about the Japanese art of storytelling known as rakugo, where a guy sits on a stage with a fan and a cloth and tells a story with those are his only props. And you might say that's kind of boring. No, it is really good because it is not so much about, as any of these good things like ping pong, it is not about the stories. It's about the people who tell them. Specifically, these two guys whose names escape me, but I'm awful at names anyway, so that's not a problem.
Yotaro?
What? No?
Oh, it says he's called Yotaro by others. Maybe I'm just reading something wrong.
It's possible. But I think one guy's name was Bon, and the other guy is probably Yotaro. Anyway, so it's just their trials and tribulations through the rocky parts of Rakugo during World War II and beyond, when everyone was afraid that this cultural icon of Japan was going to die out because of the war and because of what war demands.
Men?
Well, yeah, and money and people losing hope and the will to go out and just be entertained by things.
I guess that's true, yeah. Everyone's focused on people and family.
Mm-hmm. But there's this one quote by I don't remember who it is, but during Pearl Harbor, right after that attack, there was a concert somewhere, and the conductor was asked, "Why are you doing this? This is a national crisis." And the conductor said something to the effect of, "Because this is what people need more than anything else right now."
So wait, why is Pearl Harbor a national crisis in Japan?
This happened in America?
Oh, I didn't realize the show was in America.
No. What I said.
Oh, what you said. Oh, in America.
Okay. And that's a thing that resonates through this show as well, and through that real-time thing that happened in America.
Oh, yeah. No, that did happen.
No, the show's real good. It is very, very good. First thing I went in, the show interested me very much when I was just looking at AnyChart, seeing what was coming up the next season. I thought, oh, hey, this could be interesting. It's definitely got a thing. Oh, it's Studio Dean, though. Well, I'll give it a shot anyway. I did not expect the first episode to be a full 45 minutes of wonderful character development. Well, to be fair, though, the characters we focus on in the first episode are not super prevalent in... I mean, the older guy that we meet in there, he is the focus of the show, and we go back in time, and he tells his story. But there is a guy who gets out of prison, and he's like, I want to do Rakugo, because that's all I could hear in prison. He's like he's a Yakuza peon. He just wants to do something else with his life. So he goes to the current Rakugo master and says, "I want to be your apprentice." And the guy's like, "I don't know, taking an apprentice." No. And then eventually says yes and stuff because, we got to have a story.
Nah, no story. Ends on episode 1.
Nope. In this first episode, though, they take the time to tell 2 wonderful, full Rakugo stories that legitimately had me... one was a comedy and the other was more of a... horror type story. The first one had me laughing. The second one had me on the edge of my seat. And that's when I knew this show had me. It was just... it's really, really good. Every episode has at least one Rakugo story in it. For the most part. Episode 2 takes us back in time and shows how Bon became who he is today. And there's love, there's laughs, there's tragedy. It is a perfect drama. It is a nearly perfect show. And everyone needs to take the time to watch it. And Leo has nothing to say about it because he didn't and forgot about it.
Yep, nope. I was just like, "Hey, Watson, you're going to enjoy the show," and I stopped watching it because I think that's legitimately what happened. I was watching it, and I was just like, "All right, cool, I'm done with this." And I sent you a message on Facebook saying, "Hey, go watch this show. You're going to enjoy it."
No, I was the one that put it on the queue.
Oh, then either way, I started watching it because it's on the queue, and then I mentioned you was like, "Hey, the show's about this. This is a you show," and then I stopped watching it. Mm-hmm. I sent you some message about saying it was a you show and that you were going to enjoy it, and then I stopped watching it. So.
Yep, I told you to watch it, and you were just like, nah.
I do that a lot, though. Just go, nah.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Time?
I guess. But it's a fairly short show. I mean, it's only like 12, 13 episodes. It's
13. Yeah, 13 24-minute episodes, except for the one 42-minute episode.
So it's basically a 14-episode show.
Yep.
But it's worth it. It's nice and compact and neat, and it's great. Everyone go watch it. I have charged you. What was your number 1? I forget.
Digimon.
All right, yeah. Cool. All right, so... that's our show for today. It's our podcast.
Hooray, we did it. We're back.
Go over your list again from 5 to 1.
Number 5 was that one show that didn't matter, which is why I already forgot which one it was on my list. Phantasy Star Online 2, and then number 4. I don't know why I'm being sing-songy. Was Ace of Diamond, and then Prince of Stride Alternative. Number 2 was a tie between Kornabasu or The God's Blessing on That World and Erased. And number 1 was Digimon Try.
Cool. And my 5 through 1 was Ace of Diamonds 2nd season, Erased, Snow White with the Red Hair 2nd season, Haikyuu 2nd season, and Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. That was an okay season. It was just enough for me to care about the shows that I wanted to care about and not feel like I was being overwhelmed by nonsense.
I was over there being overwhelmed by nonsense of things I was wanting to watch.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. We will be back sometime soon with our first impressions of the current season. So until then, my name is Watson.
I'm Leo.
You can follow the links in the description to our social medias. Mine is at Baker Street Geeks on Twitter, BSG Watson on Tumblr, Watson of Baker Street on hummingbird.me, and some other things that I frequently go to, but those are the 3 that I look at most often. Leo?
Mine are, I'm pretty sure, all Chuhi Wonka, which is spelled out in the description for like Tumblr, Twitter, and basically almost anything. But yeah.
Cool. So until next time, we will see you guys later.
Goodbye.
Bye.